Your mind and your heart were never meant to carry everything alone. They were created to feel, to break, to question, and then to return to the one who heals without leaving scars. When pain enters your life, it does not mean you are weak, it means you are human. The mind becomes exhausted when it tries to understand what only Allah can explain, and the heart becomes heavy when it loves what was never meant to stay. Healing begins the moment you stop fighting your wounds and start bringing them to Allah. Not to people who may misunderstand, not to distractions that only numb temporarily, but to the one who already knows. Every tear you hide, every prayer you whisper in silence, every time you choose patience over despair, your heart is being stitched back together by divine mercy. Healing is not forgetting the pain. It is learning to carry it with faith. It is trusting that what broke you did not come to destroy you, but to detach you from what was holding you back from Allah. When you allow your heart to soften instead of harden, when you let your mind surrender instead of control, you will realize that Allah was healing you all along. Through the pain, not after it. Healing does not begin on the day your problems disappear, nor does it arrive when life finally becomes gentle with you. Healing begins in a far quieter, more sacred moment, the moment you turn your heart back to Allah while the pain is still present, while the wounds are still open, while the questions are still unanswered. Many people delay their return to Allah, telling themselves they will come back when they are stronger, calmer, more put together. But the truth is, you are not meant to heal first and then turn to Him. You are meant to turn to Him so that healing can begin. When life becomes difficult, the heart naturally looks for relief. Sometimes it searches for it in people, in distractions, in explanations, or in control. The mind wants clarity, and the heart wants comfort. But when these are sought away from Allah, the relief is always temporary. The heart was created with a space that only its creator can fill. No matter how much ease surrounds you, if your heart is distant from Allah, it will remain restless. And no matter how heavy your life feels, if your heart is close to Allah, there will be a quiet peace that survives even the storm. Returning your heart to Allah does not mean you suddenly stop hurting. It means you stop running from your pain. It means you bring your broken pieces to the one who knows how they fit together better than anyone else. It means you say, Ya Allah, I don't understand what you are doing, but I trust you. This kind of trust does not come from ease. It is born in hardship. Ease may comfort you, but it is hardship that teaches your heart where it truly belongs. We believe that healing looks like happiness, clarity, and emotional stability. But healing, in its earliest form, looks like humility. It looks like falling into sujud with a heavy chest. It looks like making dua with tears instead of confidence. It looks like admitting that you are tired of carrying life on your own. When you return your heart to Allah, you are not asking Him to remove the pain immediately. You are asking Him to carry you through it. And that changes everything. Life becoming easy is never a guarantee. Tests change forms, losses come and go, and the world remains unstable. If your healing depends on life becoming gentle, your peace will always be fragile. But when your healing depends on Allah, it becomes unshakable, because Allah does not change. His mercy does not fluctuate. His presence does not disappear when things fall apart. When everything else leaves, He remains. And that is where true healing begins. Returning your heart to Allah also means releasing the belief that you must understand everything in order to accept it. Some wounds do not come with explanations. Some losses do not come with closure. And some prayers are answered in ways the heart did not expect. Healing is not found in knowing why something happened. It is found in knowing who allowed it. When you trust Allah's wisdom over your own understanding, your heart softens. And a softened heart is as a healing heart. There is a subtle shift that happens when you return your heart to Allah. You stop measuring your worth by outcome. You stop defining your peace by people's presence or absence. You stop believing that your pain is proof of abandonment. Instead, you begin to see your hardship as an invitation to draw closer, to rely deeper, and to love Allah more sincerely than you did before. The pain does not disappear overnight, but it loses its power to break you. Healing also requires patience with when you return your heart to Allah, you may still have bad days. You may still feel sadness without a clear reason. You may still struggle with fear and doubt. But healing is not the absence of struggle. It is choosing Allah again and again within the struggle. Every time you turn back instead of turning away, your heart grows stronger. Every time you trust instead of despairing, your wounds begin to close. In the end, healing is not about reaching a pain-free life. It is about reaching a heart that is anchored in Allah no matter what life brings. When you return your heart to Him before life becomes easy, you learn a powerful truth: ease was never the source of your peace. Allah was, and He always will be. A tired mind is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of carrying too much alone for too long. The mind becomes exhausted not because it is incapable, but because it keeps trying to control outcomes that were never placed in its hands. It replays conversations, imagines futures, revisits past mistakes, and searches endlessly for certainty. This constant effort to manage what cannot be managed slowly drains the soul. What the tired mind truly needs is not more strategies, more planning, or more answers. It needs surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up on effort or responsibility. It means releasing the illusion that you are in control of everything. There is a profound difference between doing your best and believing you must hold the entire weight of the future on your shoulders. When the mind refuses to surrender, it lives in fear, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. And fear is exhausting. Surrender, on the other hand, is an act of trust. It is saying, I will take the steps I can, and I will leave the outcome to Allah. This shift alone brings rest to a weary mind. The mind becomes tired when it demands certainty in a world built on uncertainty. It wants guarantees that things will work out, that pain will not return, that loss will not repeat itself. But life does not offer such assurances. Only Allah does. When the mind insists on control, it resists reality, and resistance creates tension. Surrender is acceptance, not of defeat, but of divine wisdom. It is recognizing that there is a higher plan unfolding, even when you cannot see it. Many people confuse surrender with passivity. They fear that if they stop overthinking, things will fall apart. In reality, overthinking is often what keeps the heart trapped. Surrender frees mental space. It allows the mind to breathe. It replaces constant questioning with quiet reliance. When you surrender to Allah, you are not abandoning action, you are aligning action with trust. You move forward without being consumed by what might happen next then. A tired mind also carries the burden of self-blame. It replays the past, wondering what could have been done different. But the past cannot be controlled, only learned from. Surrender means accepting that what has passed was allowed for, even if that reason remains hidden. It means forgiving yourself for what you did not know then, and trusting that Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. This release is healing. It loosens the grip of regret and replaces it with hope. Control often disguises itself as protection. The mind believes that if it thinks enough, plans enough, and worries enough, it can prevent pain. But pain is not always something to be avoided. Sometimes it is something that shapes you. When you surrender, you stop trying to outsmart destiny and start allowing yourself to be carried by divine care. There is a gentleness in this surrender, a quiet strength that comes from knowing you are not alone in your struggles. Surrender also teaches patience. A tired mind wants immediate relief, quick answers, and instant peace. But healing unfolds in layers. When you surrender, You accept the pace Allah has chosen. You stop rushing your healing and stop comparing your journey to others. You learn to be present instead of constantly chasing a future moment where everything will finally feel okay. And in that presence, the mind begins to rest. The most beautiful aspect of surrender is the peace it brings even when circumstances remain unchanged. The problems may still exist, the uncertainty may still be there, but the weight feels lighter. That is because surrender shifts the burden from your limited strength to Allah's infinite power. A mind that trusts Allah does not have to be loud. It does not have to fight constantly. It can be still. In the end, a tired mind does not need to be fixed. It needs to be held. And Allah holds it best when you let go. When you surrender control, you do not lose direction. You gain peace. Pain often arrives carrying a message we do not want to hear. Our first instinct is to assume that it is a sign of punishment, a mark of failure, or proof that something has gone wrong between us and Allah. We ask ourselves what we did to deserve it, where we went wrong, and why our prayers did not protect us from suffering. But pain is not always a consequence of wrongdoing. It is a form of divine redirection, guiding us away from what was never meant to hold our hearts and toward what truly was. When Allah allows pain into your life, it does not mean He has abandoned you. In fact, it often means the opposite. Pain has a way of loosening our grip on illusions, on people we relied on too much, on dreams that replaced trust, on attachments that quietly pulled our hearts away from Him. Comfort can make us forget, but pain forces us to remember. It strips away distractions and leaves us face to face with what actually sustains us. In that moment of vulnerability, the heart becomes open in a way ease never allows. We live in a world that teaches us to measure success by comfort and stability, so when pain interrupts that comfort, we see it as failure. But Allah measures success differently. Sometimes what looks like loss is actually protection. Sometimes what feels like rejection is divine mercy. Pain redirects us when we are walking towards something that would harm our faith, weaken our character, or distance us from Allah. It is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to wake you up. Pain also reveals the truth about what we depend on. When everything is going well, it is easy to feel self-sufficient. But when pain enters, it exposes how fragile human support really is. People leave, plans collapse, and certainty fades. In that emptiness, the heart learns a powerful lesson. Nothing in this world is permanent. And once the heart learns this, it begins to search for something eternal. That search is a form of guidance. That is redirection. Many of the most meaningful transformations begin with pain. The loss you never recovered from, the heartbreak that changed you, the disappointment that reshaped your priorities. These moments often carry the seeds of your growth. Pain pushes you to reflect, to reevaluate, and to realign your life with what actually matters. It teaches you humility when pride was quietly growing. It teaches you patience when you were rushing ahead. And it teaches you reliance on Allah when you were leaning too heavily on creation. It is important to understand that redirection does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like being pulled away above. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart. But what is falling apart may have been holding you together in the wrong way. Pain breaks what is temporary so you can build something stronger on what is eternal. And although the breaking hurts, it is often necessary for realignment. Pain also deepens empathy. Those who have suffered understand others more deeply. Their hearts soften. Their words carry sincerity. Their prayers become more meaningful. Through pain, Allah refines the heart, removing hardness and replacing it with compassion. This is not punishment. It is preparation. Preparation for greater wisdom, deeper faith, and a closer relationship with Him. Redirection through pain also teaches discernment. You begin to see what truly deserves your energy and what does not. You stop chasing validation that never satisfies. You stop investing in what drains your soul. Pain clarifies your values. It shows you what truly matters when everything else is stripped away, and what remains is often your connection with Allah. In the end, pain is not a sign that Allah is displeased with you. It is often a sign that He is guiding you somewhere better, even if the path feels difficult. Redirection does not always make sense in the moment, but clarity comes with time. One day, you look back and realize that what hurt you also saved you. And in that realization, the pain begins to transform into gratitude. Holding on to what wounded you may feel like strength, but in reality, it is often what keeps the heart bleeding long after the pain was first inflicted. We replay words that hurt us, memories that broke us, and moments that changed us, believing that holding on will somehow protect us from being hurt again. Yet the heart was never designed to survive in a constant state of defense. It was designed to trust, to heal, and to be filled with peace. And peace cannot enter a heart that is already crowded with unresolved pain. Letting go does not mean pretending that what hurt you did not matter. It does not mean denying the depth of your wounds or minimizing your experience. What hurt you mattered, and the pain was real. But letting go means refusing to allow that pain to define you or control your future. It means choosing healing over familiarity, even when pain has become something you know well. The heart sometimes clings to pain because it fears the unknown more than the hurt it already understands. But Allah does not heal hearts by leaving them stuck in what broke them. When you hold on to what wounded you, you unknowingly give it power. It begins to shape your thoughts, your reactions, and your expectations. You approach new situations guarded, new people with suspicion, and even your relationship with Allah through the lens of fear. Letting go is an act of reclaiming your heart. It is seeing, this hurt happened to me, but it will not own me. And when you make that choice, you create space that Allah fills with tranquility in ways you could never produce on your own. Allah does not force peace into a heart that is unwilling to release what it is gripping. Just as a clenched hand cannot receive a gift, a heart tightly holding onto pain cannot receive serenity. Letting go is not about erasing memory, it is about releasing attachment. You may remember what happened, but it no longer dictates your emotions or steals your present moment. This release allows Allah's mercy to settle where resentment, anger, or sorrow once lived. Letting go also requires trust in divine justice. Sometimes we hold onto pain because we fear that if we release it, what happened will be ignored or dismissed. But Allah is Al-Adl, the most just. Nothing escapes His knowledge, and no injustice goes unseen. When you trust that Allah sees your pain and will respond in the perfect way in time, your heart no longer needs to carry the burden of revenge or bitterness. That burden is too heavy for a human heart. Allah asks you to place it in His care so He can replace it with peace. There is a quiet freedom in letting go. The mind becomes lighter, the heart becomes softer, and the soul begins to breathe again. You stop living in reaction to your wounds and start living in response to Allah's guidance. You begin to see that what left your life made room for something better, not necessarily something easier, but something more aligned with your growth and faith. Letting go is also a form of worship. It is an act of trust that says, "Ya Allah, I believe that what you have for me is better than what I lost." It is choosing Allah over the comfort of resentment. And every time you choose this, Allah replaces pain with calm, confusion with clarity, and heaviness with hope. This replacement may not happen instantly, but it is guaranteed for the heart that sincerely turns to Him. Peace is not found by holding tighter. It is found by releasing. When you let go of what wounded you, you are not emptying your heart, you are preparing it. Preparing it for a peace that does not depend on people, circumstances, or outcomes. A peace that comes from Allah alone, and once it enters, it heals in ways nothing else can. Patience is often misunderstood as quiet endurance, as though it means swallowing pain, suppressing emotions, and pretending that everything is fine. Many believe patience is silence, suffering without expression, waiting without feeling, hurting without speaking. But true patience is far deeper and far more alive than that. Patience is not the absence of emotion, it is the presence. It is trusting Allah's timing even when the heart is heavy and the answers are delayed. Patience does not ask you to deny your pain. It allows you to feel it while refusing to let it turn into despair. You can cry and still be patient. You can ask questions and still be patient. You can feel tired and still be patient. Silence alone does not make a person patient, trust does. And trust is active. It is choosing to believe that Allah is working for you, even when you cannot see the results of your prayers. Divine timing rarely aligns with human urgency. We want answers now, relief now, clarity now. When these do not come, the heart grows restless, and the mind begins to doubt. But Allah's delays are not denials. They are moments of preparation. What you are waiting for may require a stronger heart, deeper faith, or a shift in perspective that has not yet happened. Patience is the willingness to allow Allah to prepare you before giving you what you are asking for, or to replace it with something better. Patience also means continuing to do what is right even when the outcome is unclear. It is showing up for prayer when the heart feels distant. It is making do when hope feels thin. It is resisting bitterness when circumstances feel unfair. This is not silence. This is strength. It is a quiet confidence that Allah sees your effort and counts every step you take toward Him, even when the path feels long. There are moments when patience feels like waiting in the dark. You do not know when the light will return, and you do not know how long the trial will last. In these moments, patience becomes a form of surrender. It is placing your timeline in Allah's hands and trusting that He knows when your heart is ready for what comes next. This trust transforms waiting from a burden into an act of worship. Patience also protects the heart from hardening. When pain lingers, it is easy to grow resentful, to close off, to question Allah's wisdom. But patience keeps the heart soft. It reminds you that Allah is gentle, even when His plans feel difficult. A patient heart believes that there is meaning in the delay, even if that meaning has not yet been revealed. Trust in divine timing does not mean you stop asking. The prophets asked, cried, and pleaded. What made them patient was not their silence, but their certainty that Allah hears and responds in the best way. Patience is returning to Allah again and again, even when the waiting feels unbearable. It is knowing that your prayers are not lost. They are being stored, reshaped, or answered in ways beyond your imagination. With patience comes growth. The waiting refines you. It teaches you reliance instead of control, gratitude instead of entitlement, and humility instead of frustration. When the answer finally comes, whether in the form you expected or not, you realize that the waiting was part of the mercy. You are becoming someone capable of receiving it. In the end, patience is not passive. It is a living, breathing trust in Allah's wisdom. It is believing that what is meant for you will arrive at the right time, and what is not meant for you will never bring peace. When you trust divine timing, your heart learns to rest, not because the wait is over, but because Allah is in control. A healed heart is not simply a heart that no longer feels pain, nor is it a heart that has forgotten its wounds. True healing does not erase experiences or remove scars. It transforms the way the heart responds to them. A healed heart is a heart that has learned to rely fully on Allah. A heart that no longer seeks validation, security, or fulfillment from anyone or anything other than Him. It is a heart that has recognized the impermanence of the world and the constancy of its Creator and has chosen to anchor itself in that truth. So many of our struggles come from depending on what is temporary. We place our trust in people, in relationships, in careers, in circumstances, or in material success, thinking they can provide the stability we long for. But everything in this world is fleeting. People change, plans fail, and life does not always follow the path we desire. When the heart depends on these things, it becomes fragile, easily shaken by disappointment, betrayal, or loss. Healing begins the moment we realize that our hearts were never meant to be sustained by the temporary. They were meant to be sustained by Allah alone. A heart that depends on Allah alone is free. It is free from the burden of constant worry because it knows that Allah is Al-Razak, the provider. It is free from the need for constant approval because it trusts in Allah's infinite love and wisdom. It is free from fear of abandonment because it understands that the one who created it will never leave it. This kind of freedom does not come from circumstances improving. It comes from perspective shifting, from the heart finding its true source of strength and refuge. Dependence on Allah requires surrender. It requires acknowledging that no matter how capable we think we are, we cannot control everything. A healed heart knows that trying to control outcomes often leads to frustration and despair. Instead, it surrenders not in weakness, but in trust. It says, "Ya Allah, I place my heart, my fears, my hopes, and my future in your hands, because you are better at carrying them than I am." This surrender does not happen overnight. It is cultivated through prayer, reflection, and repeated experiences of seeing Allah's wisdom in what unfolds. A healed heart also learns patience. Dependence on Allah does not mean instant relief from hardship. Life may still present challenges, but a heart that relies on Him finds peace amidst trials. It knows that every test, every delay, every hardship carries a purpose, whether it is to strengthen faith, teach resilience, or guide towards something better. Trusting Allah transforms challenges into opportunities for growth and pain into a pathway toward deeper closeness. This heart also cultivates gratitude. When you depend solely on Allah, you begin to see the blessings in ways you never noticed before. You recognize that everything good in your life, comfort, joy, success, love, comes from Him. You also learn to accept what is taken away with grace, knowing that Allah's wisdom surpasses your understanding. Gratitude becomes natural because the heart no longer measures worth by external circumstances, but by the constant, unwavering presence of its Creator. A healed heart that depends on Allah alone is not indifferent to the world. It loves, it dreams, it works, and it cares. But it does so without attachment that leads to despair. It understands that people, achievements, and possessions can enhance life, but cannot sustain the soul. True security comes from reliance on Allah, and with that reliance comes stability that nothing in this world can shake. No betrayal, no failure, no loss can uproot the peace that resides in a heart anchored in Him. Ultimately, a healed heart has found its home. It has found that safety, comfort, and fulfillment are not found in external circumstances, but in the one who knows it completely, who loves it infinitely, and who will never abandon it. To depend on Allah alone is not a limitation. It is liberation. It is freedom from anxiety, from attachment, from the weight of expectations that cannot be met. It is the knowledge that whatever happens, whatever is lost or gained, Allah is enough, and that sufficiency transforms the heart from broken to whole, from restless to peaceful, from dependent on the world to anchored in the eternal.